Coles could be seen driving off from her apartment with a man detectives now call a person of interest. That same man then returns to her apartment the next day and leaves her car parked outside. Kierra Coles was 3 months pregnant when she vanished.
How does a young woman, 3 months pregnant and full of life, simply vanish? Kierra Coles was a postal worker with her whole future ahead of her, but on October 2nd, 2018, she disappeared without a trace. This case has puzzled her family, friends, and investigators for years. Let's look into what we know about her story. Kierra Coles' disappearance is one of those stories that leaves you with more questions than answers. She wasn't someone who lived recklessly or had a history of running away. She was a responsible, hardworking woman excited about becoming a mom. Yet, one day, she was just gone. This video will take you through the details of her case, the investigation, and the efforts to find her. Kierra Coles was a 26-year-old woman who had built a life full of promise and potential in Chicago, Illinois. She was known by her family and friends as someone with a kind heart, an ambitious spirit, and a strong sense of responsibility. Kierra worked as a postal worker for the United States Postal Service, a career she had grown to love and take pride in. She was the type of person who believed in doing her job well and had earned respect from her co-workers for her dedication and work ethic. Family was incredibly important to Kierra. Her close-knit relationship with her mother, Karen Phillips, was one of the cornerstones of her life. Karen often described Kierra as a reliable and caring daughter who never hesitated to help others. Those who knew Kierra often spoke of her generous nature and her ability to light up a room with her warm personality. One of the most exciting moments in Kierra's life came when she found out she was pregnant. For her, this was more than just an announcement. It was the start of a journey she had been eagerly anticipating. Being a mother was something Kierra had dreamed of, and she embraced her pregnancy with excitement and optimism. She began making plans for her baby's future, preparing to provide a stable and loving environment. Her friends and family say that Kierra was ready to take on the responsibilities of motherhood, and she often talked about how happy she was to welcome her child into the world. Kierra lived in the Chatham neighborhood on Chicago's South Side, a community she called home. She had her own apartment, a sign of her independence and determination to build a life on her own terms. Kierra worked hard to maintain her home and ensure it was a comfortable space for herself and her soon-to-be child. She was proud of what she had achieved and looked forward to creating a safe and nurturing environment for her family. In her personal life, Kierra was reportedly in a relationship with Josh Simmons, who was said to be the father of her child. While the details of their relationship were not widely discussed by her family, it was clear that Kierra was focused on creating a stable future for herself, her baby, and her partner. To those around her, Kierra seemed happy and excited about the life she was building. She was someone who worked hard and planned carefully, taking steps to ensure her future was as bright as possible. Kierra's loved ones described her as someone who always kept her goals in mind and worked steadily to achieve them. Whether it was her career, her relationships, or her plans for motherhood, Kierra approached everything with a sense of purpose. She had so much to look forward to, and her loved ones never doubted her ability to create a beautiful life for herself and her child. Her sudden disappearance would later shatter all these hopes, leaving a void in the lives of those who cared about her. October 2nd, 2018, started like an ordinary day in Chicago. Kierra Coles, a 26-year-old postal worker, lived in the Chatham neighborhood, where life typically moved along in its usual rhythm. Kierra had called in sick to work that day, a rare occurrence for someone as dependable as she was. Still, no one thought much of it. People get sick, and Kierra had always been responsible. But as the day unfolded, seemingly routine moments would later take on a haunting significance. That evening, security cameras captured Kierra walking near her apartment. She was wearing her postal uniform, even though she hadn't gone to work that day. It struck many as odd. Why wear the uniform if she wasn't on the clock? But at the time, no one could have known this would be the last confirmed sighting of her. The footage shows Kierra heading to an ATM. She withdrew $400 in cash, a transaction that, on its own, didn't seem unusual. What followed, however, raised more questions than answers. Kierra handed the money to her boyfriend, Josh Simmons. The exchange appeared brief and uneventful, and after handing him the cash, Kierra walked away. What happened next remains a mystery. The following day, October 3rd, passed without word from Kierra. For her family, this was out of character. Kierra was someone who stayed in touch, especially with her mother, Karen Phillips. When calls and messages went unanswered, Her family began to worry. Concern turned to alarm when Karen visited Kierra's apartment and noticed her car still parked outside. Karen knew something wasn't right. Kierra's car was more than just parked. It seemed untouched. Inside, Karen found her daughter's purse, lunch, and cell phone. These were all items Kierra would have taken with her if she'd planned to go somewhere. The fact that they were left behind suggested she hadn't planned to be gone for long, or that she hadn't planned to leave at all. The discovery sent chills down Karen's spine. Where could Kierra be? Karen contacted the police and reported her daughter missing. The investigation began immediately, but the circumstances were puzzling. Why had Kierra left her belongings in the car? What was the significance of the money she had given to Josh? And why had she been wearing her postal uniform on a day she hadn't gone to work? These questions would mark the beginning of a case that has left everyone searching for answers. As the days turned into weeks, the details of Kierra's last known movements would be scrutinized over and over. The ATM footage, the parked car, and her belongings left behind all seemed to paint a picture, but the image was far from clear. Her family's concern grew with each passing day, as did the community's efforts to locate her. What seemed like an ordinary day had turned into the starting point of a heartbreaking mystery, one that remains unsolved to this day.
Police have released new video with the last known recorded images of Kierra Coles walking into her apartment at 81st and Vernon. Later that night, she left with a man in her car. She was seen a few minutes later on surveillance video withdrawing money from an ATM at a business on 86th and Cottage Grove. She was pregnant when she vanished. Her car was found a block from her apartment. Inside were her cell phone and her lunch. The police video also shows officers forcibly entering Kierra's apartment at her mother's request.
When Kierra Coles was reported missing by her mother, Karen Phillips, on October 4th, 2018, the police quickly began their search. Karen had already found Kierra's car parked outside her apartment, with her purse, phone, and lunch left inside. These details heightened the urgency of the situation. From the outset, the circumstances surrounding Kierra's disappearance were anything but ordinary. Investigators started by reviewing security footage from Kierra's neighborhood. One video showed a woman in a postal uniform walking near Kierra's apartment on the night she went missing. Initially, this seemed like a significant lead. However, when Karen viewed the footage, she made a startling observation. The woman in the video wasn't her daughter. This revelation brought more confusion to an already puzzling case. If the woman in the uniform wasn't Kierra, then who was it? And where was Kierra during that time? Josh Simmons, Kierra's boyfriend and the presumed father of her child, became a key figure in the investigation. Josh was one of the last people known to have seen Kierra. Security footage from the night she disappeared showed Kierra withdrawing $400 from an ATM and handing the cash to him. Police questioned Josh about their interactions, but his responses reportedly raised suspicions. According to reports, Josh gave inconsistent statements about when he had last seen Kierra and what their plans had been. These inconsistencies, combined with his actions after her disappearance, raised serious questions. Shortly after Kierra went missing, Josh moved out of state. Even more concerning to Kierra's family was that he began a new relationship not long after her disappearance. While moving and starting a new relationship isn't inherently suspicious, the timing struck many as odd. Despite these concerns, no charges have been filed against Josh, and investigators have not publicly identified him as a suspect. Another critical clue came from surveillance footage of Kierra's car. The car had been found parked outside her apartment on October 3rd, the day after she was last seen. However, footage showed that the car wasn't parked there by Kierra herself. Instead, an unidentified person was seen moving the car. This same individual was later caught on video entering Kierra's apartment and leaving with what appeared to be several items. The identity of this person remains unknown, and investigators have not revealed what, if anything, was taken from the apartment. As the investigation continued, the lack of clear leads made progress difficult. The case seemed to hinge on a few critical moments: the ATM transaction, the movement of her car, and the unidentified person entering and leaving her apartment. Yet each of these moments only added to the mystery rather than providing answers.
I wake up every day without one of my children, not knowing what's going on with her, if she here, if she not here, or whatever. I just have to suffer through a whole day of wondering, where's my child?
For Kierra's family, the lack of concrete developments has been agonizing. They have repeatedly called for anyone with information to come forward. As time passes, the unanswered questions linger. Who moved Kierra's car? What was taken from her apartment? And what truly happened on the night of October 2nd, 2018. These questions remain central to the investigation, leaving both her family and investigators searching for clarity in a case that refuses to offer easy answers. From the moment Kierra Coles was reported missing, her family, particularly her mother, Karen Phillips, has been at the forefront of the fight to find her. Karen's love for her daughter and determination to uncover the truth have driven her to take action in every way possible.
On here, she's fine. She walking, she doing her little shopping. She coming back, she went to her apartment. So, it was very, very emotional for me to see that. I pray every day for her to be safe, not being harmed. I hope her child is with her. I hope they both are doing okay. And I just hope soon this will be over.
She has made it her mission to ensure that Kierra's name is not forgotten and that the search for her continues. Karen has been a consistent and vocal advocate for her daughter. She has spoken at rallies, attended community gatherings, and organized vigils to raise awareness about Kierra's disappearance. These events are not just about remembering Kierra, they are a call to action, a plea for anyone with information to step forward. Karen's presence at these events serves as a reminder of the pain her family continues to endure and their need for answers. Media engagement has been another crucial part of the family's efforts. Karen has worked tirelessly to keep Kierra's case in the public eye. She has reached out to local and national news outlets, sharing her daughter's story in the hopes that someone, somewhere, might recognize Kierra or recall a critical piece of information.
Just make me feel like y'all working on it. But, now I just see that they put it to the side. Well, we get some, we get some. If we don't, we don't.
By using media platforms, Karen has been able to amplify Kierra's story, ensuring it reaches as many people as possible. In interviews, Karen has often expressed her belief that someone close to Kierra knows what happened. She has repeatedly urged those individuals to come forward, even if they're afraid or hesitant. Karen's conviction is clear. She wants the truth, no matter how difficult it may be. She has shown immense courage in speaking out, even when the answers seem elusive. The family has also partnered with organizations like Crime Stoppers to help in the search. These partnerships have allowed them to offer rewards for information that could lead to finding Kierra or uncovering the truth about her disappearance. The rewards serve as an incentive, but they are also a reflection of the family's desperation to bring closure to this painful chapter of their lives. Through it all, Karen and her family have made one thing clear: they will not give up. Their determination is fueled by their love for Kierra and their need to know what happened to her. Karen has often said that she will keep fighting until she finds her daughter or learns the truth. This unwavering commitment has inspired many in the community to join the family in their search for answers. The Coles family's efforts go beyond seeking justice for Kierra. They are also advocating for other missing persons, particularly women of color, who often receive less attention in media and law enforcement.
LaShawn Walker is another grieving mother who hasn't seen her 28-year-old daughter and 2-year-old grandson. They've been missing since 2015 in Gary, Indiana. She prays for someone to speak about their whereabouts and for Kierra's.
Karen has become a symbol of resilience, showing that even in the face of heartbreak, a mother's love can fuel a relentless pursuit of truth. As the years pass, the family continues to hold on to hope. They remain active in their search, sharing Kierra's story on social media, attending events, and encouraging others to stay vigilant. For them, the fight is far from over, and their dedication to finding Kierra will never waver.
They joined community activists in offering prayers at a birthday party for Kierra Coles. She vanished October 2nd of 2018.
As the years go on, it get harder and harder. Definitely with the police not doing what they're supposed to do to me, it makes it even more harder.
More than 5 years have passed since Kierra Coles vanished, and her case remains unsolved. Despite extensive efforts from her family, community, and law enforcement, the 26-year-old postal worker is still missing. The Chicago Police Department continues to classify her case as a high-risk missing person investigation. This designation indicates that authorities suspect foul play may have been involved. However, no arrests have been made, and no significant breakthroughs have been shared with the public. The passage of time has only deepened the pain for Kierra's family and raised questions for those following her case. How can a young woman disappear without a trace in a busy city like Chicago? For her family, the lack of answers is excruciating. They have spent years advocating for her, ensuring her name and face remain in the public eye, and calling for action from law enforcement and the community. Kierra's case has drawn national attention, sparking broader conversations about the challenges faced in missing persons investigations. Many have pointed to systemic issues that disproportionately affect cases involving women of color. Studies and advocacy groups have long highlighted that these cases often receive less media coverage and fewer resources than others. This lack of attention can delay critical moments in an investigation, making it even harder to find answers. Some critics have questioned whether law enforcement did enough in the early stages of Kierra's case. While the Chicago Police Department classified her case as high risk, there have been concerns about the level of urgency and resources dedicated to solving it. These concerns are not unique to Kierra's case, but are part of a larger conversation about how missing persons cases are handled, especially when the victims are from marginalized communities. Another significant challenge in Kierra's case is the apparent lack of cooperation from certain individuals. Her mother, Karen Phillips, has publicly stated that she believes someone close to Kierra knows what happened, but has chosen not to come forward. This belief is shared by many following the case, who wonder if fear, guilt, or other motives are keeping key witnesses silent. The lack of new information has stalled progress, leaving investigators with few leads to pursue. The surveillance footage showing an unidentified individual moving Kierra's car and entering her apartment has added to the mystery. This person, whose identity remains unknown, could hold vital information about what happened to her. However, without more evidence or witnesses willing to speak, this critical piece of the puzzle remains unresolved. For her family, the absence of answers does not mean the absence of hope. They continue to advocate for Kierra, speaking out, organizing events, and reminding the world that she is still missing. They have vowed not to rest until they find out what happened to her. Their efforts have also inspired others to pay attention to missing persons cases and demand systemic changes in how these investigations are handled. Kierra's case is a heartbreaking reminder of how quickly life can change and how difficult it can be to find justice. While the years have passed, the fight for answers continues, fueled by love, hope, and a determination to bring Kierra home. Kierra Coles' story is devastating, not just because she remains missing, but because of the profound impact her disappearance has had on those who love her. Her family has been left in a state of anguish, unable to find closure or move forward without knowing what happened to her. Kierra's mother, Karen Phillips, has been the pillar of strength in this fight, refusing to let her daughter's name fade from memory. Even after years of uncertainty, Karen continues to speak out, organizing events, and pleading for someone to come forward with the truth. This case is a stark reminder of how important it is to keep stories like Kierra's alive. When the media spotlight fades, the urgency can wane. But for families like Kierra's, the pain remains constant. Every passing day is another reminder of how much has been lost. The effort to find answers doesn't just bring hope to Kierra's family, it also highlights the systemic challenges faced by many missing persons cases, particularly those involving women of color. If you or someone you know has any information about Kierra Coles or her whereabouts, even the smallest detail could make a difference. Please contact the Chicago Police Department at 312-747-5789 or the U.S. Postal Inspection Service at 877-876-2455. It takes just one person coming forward to change the course of an investigation. Together, we can help Kierra's family find the answers they so desperately need and ensure her story is never forgotten. Justice for Kierra is still possible, and her loved ones deserve nothing less. Kierra Coles deserves to be found, and her family deserves answers. If her story has moved you, please share it. The more people who know about her case, the better the chances of finding the truth. Thank you for watching, and let's keep Kierra's name out there.